is freezing. Again, welcome to my little world. The little world where it is absolutely freezing all the time. Winter and me do not get along. So, just me talking about pointless stuff. As you might have noticed, my tash is gone. I am quite pleased by it, but however, I feel about 12. It took me months, well, not months, a month to grow about 3 millimeters of what can only be described as bum fluff. Nothing substantial. Meant to be a grown man, got nothing. Probably because my testosterone's in the absolute pits after prep. Nonetheless, welcome to today's video. So, today's video is going to be about how to get the most out of your gaining phase, okay? It's that time of year where most people are, if not already started gaining, trying to grow muscle, okay? And as we push closer to Christmas, a lot of people fuck it up. A lot of people get fat too quick. So I'm going to talk about kind of some training considerations, nutritional considerations later on in the video. But now I'm driving to the gym to train legs. So you'll see some of that footage now. I don't know whether to do it raw or do some music over the top, but you'll see my leg day. And then I'll sit down and talk to you at a computer. of course, with gaining muscle, it really does boil down to 3 things. And I'm going to talk about the 3 things across this video. And the first thing we need to think about when you're trying to grow muscle is your nutrition, okay? And it's pretty much the same as when you're trying to lose body fat. Nutrition is very important. And when we are thinking about nutrition in a gaining phase, in a bulking phase, there's 2 things you really need to consider. Well, there's obviously more than 2 things. There's lots of things you need to consider. The first is that you are in a calorie surplus, okay? And of course, there is some evidence that you can grow muscle in a calorie deficit, because obviously if you have adequate protein to miss muscle protein breakdown, you could grow muscle. But we want realistically to grow as much muscle as we can across the gaining phase. So at the start, this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. At the start, you want to be on enough calories that you're gaining a decent amount of body weight. You don't want to be gaining too quick and you don't want to be gaining too slow. And of course, however, at what speed you want to gain at is completely dictated by you, your genetic makeup, and your progress that you want to make across the gaining phase. So you want to be on enough calories to support that. And that's not going to be kind of the same number for everyone, obviously, because everyone is different. So find your calorie maintenance and then probably add 400, 500 calories to that. Then you want to ride your weight gain out until those calories stop weight gain. And the minute you stop gaining weight on the calories that you're on, you then increase your calories again. So I'd recommend that you probably increase your calories from carbohydrates. Once your fats are a level or an intake, a nutritional intake that supports your hormonal function and your general lifestyle, for most lads, and women for that matter, that's somewhere between kind of 60 to 80 grams. Anything above that, there might not necessarily be that much benefit apart from being able to experience a diversity of fat sources. I would then increase your calories mainly from carbohydrates, because we want to drive up carbohydrates, one, because it's our body's main fuel source, and that will support our ability to train well in the gym, and 2, because our body's much more likely when calories are high, or when there is an abundance of calories for that matter, to store fat as fat. Because to store carbohydrates as fat, we have to go through a very taxing process of de novo lipogenesis, I think it's called, and our body doesn't necessarily want to do that. So it would be more favourable that you push carbohydrates as opposed to pushing fat. Another point we need to think about with nutrition is that we are getting adequate protein and we are getting adequate protein servings across the day. We want to be stimulating muscle protein synthesis at multiple points across the day. We don't want to be going through long periods where we're not actually kind of spiking MPS, because, like I said at the start, the biggest factor impacting muscle growth is permissive nitrogen balance, okay? So that's going to be impacted by our protein frequency, our total protein that we eat in our diet on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis, and then our macronutrients across that, okay? So obviously, when calories are higher, we need less protein. Carbohydrates are protein sparing, but realistically, I'd aim probably towards 1.5 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. And I keep that pretty consistent throughout the dieting phase. I've trialed lower protein and I've trialed higher protein. And personally, I feel much better on a higher protein approach. It's still not focusing on my face, it's cameraman. So that's protein and that's calories. And like I said, you need to be very reactive and on top of your nutritional intake. For lots of you, natural guys, you'll hit a point where you won't want to eat any more food and your body won't want to go over a certain weight. And that's where you need to be consistent, provide that training stimulus, be consistent with your nutrition so that you can break through those plateaus. Because arguably, if you're not gaining weight, you're probably not growing new muscle. But there's a fine line between gaining weight too quick and not gaining weight at all. So find what works out for you. If you have any comments about your nutrition, comment down below. But remember, eat enough protein servings across the day, good amount of calories overall, so you're in a calorie surplus. Progress those over a period of time so your body weight progresses. Make sure you're performing better than you ever have, and that will lead nicely to training now. Right then, so obviously during a gaining phase, Your training is so important, and a lot of the time people just go through the motions when they're in the gym, and this is the biggest mistake, okay? What you need to be doing is making sure you are the strongest you have ever been. You are performing the best you ever have, and that all of the food that you're eating is actually being put to good use. And the main way that we're going to grow new muscle is, unless you're on gear, which most of you aren't, because you're on my channel, brilliant, is through progressing our training, is through progressing how much volume, how much stimulus we put through our muscles. And the easiest way to do that is just applying progressive overload in a good training program, okay? Think about sticking on a training program for as long as you can and keeping movements / movement patterns pretty much the same. The reason for this is, if you can create good progression over a prolonged period of time without changing things all the time, and if you're not consistently getting better, you need to address why not, okay? Your body weight should be increasing over time, and your training performance should 100% be getting better over time. So you could just basically apply a double progression method, which is as simple as you perform your sets, and if you're at the bottom end of the rep range, you progress the reps until you're at the top end of the rep range, and when you're at the top end of the rep range, then you change the weight. You'd obviously then increase the weight, and by increasing the weight, you'd then drop down to the lower end of the rep range, okay? This is the easiest form of progression, and obviously there is a long time that you can rinse this, okay? Like, when I really got serious about it, I stayed on this approach for like years, okay? Because your strength will just continue to go up. And realistically, I still apply this principle now, and I know a lot of people, a lot of super strong people can. As long as you're pretty much hitting muscular failure, you're in a good place. Because we know that from the literature, it's kind of within 3 reps of failure is the kind of sweet spot. So you can apply double progression. That's the easiest way to kind of progress during a gaming phase. Likewise, you could look at increasing volume across a training block, which is something I've been trying recently, and I'll be continuing to try. So I applied a double progression over kind of the first 4, 5, 6 weeks until that double progression, or that linear progression of performance and volume, stalls, and then I'll actively increase volume by adding in more work. So this could be another set, this could be another intensity technique. And if you're already reasonably strong, like I'm a reasonably strong person, like if I continue to just get stronger, I will be like Eddie Hall. Well, I won't be, because I'm nowhere near as strong as Eddie Hall, but do you get what I mean? And very often, if you're not 100% managing everything else, like your sleep, your routine, your nutrition, you will stall at some point. So then you can just ask yourself to do more through actual work as opposed to more through actual performance measures, as in lifting more weight or doing more reps. So that's how I'm approaching this gaining phase. Of course, you can approach it how you want, but training should drive your off-season. You should be looking back at this off-season and thinking, fuck, I got the strongest I ever have. If you haven't, you've done something wrong, okay? And I'm going to hold myself accountable to this as well. Like last off-season, I was strong as hell. I think I got 235 deadlift for 5 or 6. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting back there when I can. Obviously, slow since prep. However, I'm on the way back. So, nail your training, okay? Talking to a camera in my front room, brilliant. Right then, so my third tip about growing and having a successful bulk is get a routine that works for you, okay? We absolutely love a routine whilst we're in prep or whilst we're dieting because it gives us structure. But the minute we transition into a gaining phase, we literally stop the routine that we were doing. So one of my biggest tips, and one that I'm trying to carry into this gaining phase, is a routine. So right now, I wake up at the same time. I go for my walks at the same time. I eat my meals at the same time. Our body loves routine, and if we can build a routine, it's much easier for us to just scale up what we're doing. If we need to eat more food, we just scale up the foods that are in the meal, as opposed to scrambling at the end of the day. So build a routine. I'll talk about my routine more later on, but that's one of my biggest turning points for this gaming phase. Right, so tying into the routine thing, I think and I probably will have spoken about this on the nutrition side of things when I'm talking about setting up your bulk, but the routine you make around food, I think, will impact how well you do in your off season massively. In terms of course, I mean, before I move on from that, of course, like, a gaining phase is an opportunity to have more social occasions, to go out and eat kind of foods that you wouldn't eat on prep, but I would always look at keeping your pre-workout and your post-workout meal pretty much the same. Of course, we know that when you're in a kind of calorie surplus, it's just the general calories that will benefit you in terms of energy and fueling your sessions, because realistically, carbohydrate timing goes down a little bit in importance when you are in a calorie surplus, because obviously there's carbohydrates everywhere. When you're dieting, that importance goes up, but we want to be making sure we're spiking MPS across the day, like I said in the nutrition section of this video. But pre and post workout meal for me are the ones that I just keep the same. So I always know what I'm having pre-workout, I know what I'm having post-workout. There's no kind of, oh, what can I have today? Because I've found what works for me, and I'm just gonna keep doing that. Why would you change anything if it's not broken? And one of the things I say to my clients is, once you find the magic recipe, why would you change it? If you know what you like, you know what you perform well on, don't change anything, just rinse and repeat and be consistent with that pre and post workout routine. So that ties nicely into routine. So my pre-workout meal and pre-workout routine is 30 grams of whey isolate, because I am allowed to eat that on my kind of low FODMAP, it doesn't upset my stomach. 100 grams of oats, 10 to 15 grams of dark chocolate, depending on what I'm eating on the rest of the day. And I'll eat this and then pretty much get ready and go to the gym. And that's my pre-workout meal, very simple. And my post-workout meal is pretty much the same. I'll just have 100 grams of oats again, because you've got to remember I've got to be careful with my stomach at the moment, with my IBS. And then I'll have only 15 grams of whey isolate, and then I'll have a lean mince or a lean steak post-workout with potentially some salad. The main reason I'll have salad post-workout is because, creature of habit, I liked it during prep, I like it now, and it helps with my appetite, which is still really high. So, routine, essential, don't be a twat. Look at that. On a bulk as well. I wonder how long this will last, because last growing phase, I struggled with food a lot. Like, I was force feeding, but now, look, that's like, you don't even need to clean it. Obviously you need to clean it, but food's just going down very easy. So hungry. What's the time? Now I'm going to the gym. Join me. So by creating that routine, we actually can really improve our biofeedback, and that's going to be our point number 4, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And very often, if the biofeedback, like our digestion, our sleep, our stress, our mood, go into the red, we have to then put a stop to the bulk, or it's less optimal than it would be. So a routine would really help, because realistically our bodies work like clockwork, and people like to think they don't, but they do. We have a natural internal clock called our circadian rhythm, which wants to align with the world around us. So with it being winter, we should be getting more sunlight exposure in the morning to reset our circadian rhythm. We should be going out for walks at dusk so that our eyes notice and get an intake of the different types of light that will indicate and set our circadian rhythm. So that routine and that structure, of course, it will be completely individual to you, but will set you up to be able to eat more food, grow more muscle, because your body will be primed and ready to handle whatever you throw at it. Because realistically, a gaining phase is hard. Like, people think dieting and prep's hard, but realistically growing muscle is hard. That is why not many people have that much muscle as natural guys. Yes, you can jump on gear and grow muscle no matter what, but that routine is something that I'm really working on, and I think you could really work on as well. So find the structure to your day and absolutely nail it. Right, so that brings back the end to this video. I'm not going to spend too long wrapping it up, because I appreciate there was a lot of me talking in that video. However, there was a lot of information for me to get across to you. So once again, if you've got this far, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't, so you get all of the videos from me. Check out our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Sparks of Conversation, and follow me on social media. Links are in my bio. Other than that, see you soon.